Okay. What we saw the other day was that we created um, virtual networks, right? We created virtual networks and we created a couple of subnets as well. What we also did was that we created virtual machines in Azure. So we understood the process of creating a virtual machine in Azure. Today, I'm going to walk you through certain fascinating things, and the buzzwords that people talk about is scripting using PowerShell. Now, as you know, that I've got a couple of virtual machines created here. One, two, three, four, and all of them are in stopped status, right? They're all of them in stopped status. And all of them have their own private IP address. They are in a virtual network. And we got how many columns here? One, two, three, four, another four, 8 columns, right? Well, I've customized it by clicking on the columns button and then picked up just the ones that I want. Well, let's say I would like to look at disk status, and let's see the size as well, right? And then say done. It's gonna show that on the screen. You can add and remove things as and when you want it. That's good. But let's say the management wants you to pull up a report of the virtual machines through the Azure console, and then they want to know how many virtual machines are stopped, how many virtual machines are up and running, what are their public IP addresses, and what are their private IP addresses. Um, this is an important skill to have today, and that's where we are starting it from day one. So we're gonna keep doing this skill almost every alternate day, so that you get comfortable with that, and people in Windows background are not scared with PowerShell scripting. So today's topic is to introduce you to PowerShell scripting with Microsoft Azure. We cannot do the whole PowerShell scripting in this class and the subsequent classes, but definitely we will do what is relevant for career, to survive, and to create our own tools that will give us a great deal of confidence. PowerShell is inbuilt in your Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows 8, and anything that is released after that. To launch PowerShell, you have to click on the Windows key and then just keep typing PowerShell there, right? And you get some of them. You get Windows PowerShell, Windows PowerShell ISC, da 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 da. There's a whole lot of things. But take a look at this one, Windows PowerShell ISC. Anything that does not have x86 in the brackets is x64. So I'm going to simply right click and run as administrator. Okay, and that opens up a whole new window, a new console in which I can start typing in my commands, or basically what's called as commandlets. Well, it's just picked up an old script that I was doing today, so I'm just going to get rid of it right now. All right, so there you go. Oh, in fact, I'm going to close that as well. No, and done. So that's how your PowerShell script's going to look like, right? Not the script, but the PowerShell console, and this you can call it as a compiler. If you do not see this screen, probably what you will see when you open it for the first time is a window like this, right? If you see a window like this, there are three buttons here like this, right here, one, two, three, right next to each other. You can toggle between these to get to an appropriate screen. So if you'd like to type here your commands here, you can type, and the output of this command will then be visible on the black screen on the left hand side. Or if you don't like that, you can do this as well. Just click on this one, which will then show the output on the black screen anyways, right? Now this is a PowerShell compiler. It's a very powerful tool. I've realized that over a period of time. There's nothing can be more powerful than the PowerShell. That's been named correctly. No, PowerShell, and in PowerShell you can also run Linux commands, right? This is a Windows Windows screen, you can here run Linux commands. You know, look at this ls, that works. That works. I'm gonna stop it. And look at this pwd, that works. ps, that works. But there are not all commands that's gonna work. How about touch? Oh, looks like, yeah, touch does not work. Look at this. Touch is also a command. vi also doesn't work. It doesn't recognize vi, right? So we understand two things, that number one, it takes Linux commands, but not all. Second is all error messages appear in red, right? So every time there is something that you see in red color, well, then don't get scared, because that's an opportunity for us to learn. And a lot of these error messages have a solution right there. So every time you see a red message, do not tremble, do not let your fingers shake, because there are solutions right there in the error messages that will tell us, hey, that's where the problem is. All right. Now, let's talk about Azure PowerShell. For Azure PowerShell to work, you need to have the latest PowerShell that we have in the market today, and I would like to have my PowerShell console updated with the latest PowerShell version. Today, the latest PowerShell version is 5.1. Okay, anything that is 4 and above is also okay, but I would like you to update your PowerShell to at least 5. Well, how do I know what is the version of PowerShell? So you can just go ahead and type $ps version table, and then click on this icon that looks like a play button, nice green little button, right? Click on it, and then it tells my PowerShell version is 5.1, right? Let's only look at the minor version and the major version right next to it. Just these two, that should be enough, right? 5.1, that should be good enough. So that tells me that my PowerShell version is 5.1. Just in case your PowerShell version is lesser than that, go to Google and download this utility called Download Windows Management Framework, right? And this Google has a habit of interrupting us every time we type, so, and that's good for us as well. Interruption from Google is okay. So we pick up this 5.1. It's not an interruption, but it just gives us suggestions, right? So it's a 5.1, and the first link that you get is this. Click on that and download it, install it. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this thing to browse. Well, it's gonna take some time. Wow. Okay, there you go. So there's a guy here who looks like me, looking at his Surface screen, but then we don't care about him. Scroll down and click on download, and then you'll see a lot of these options, right? Don't download everything. Don't download everything in this world. Download the one that is relevant for your operating system. So if you're using Windows 8.1 64-bit, this one. If you're using Windows 7 64-bit, this one. If you're using 32 bits in this era today, upgrade your computer, not PowerShell. Okay, go for 64-bit. So pick up one of those that's more relevant to you, this operating system right next to it, and then go ahead and download them. Yeah, let's say this one, and then you'll see the next button, download 42.7 MB. Give it a second, it gets downloaded pretty quickly, and install it. Once it is downloaded and installed, launch the PowerShell, and then you got to run certain commands, right? You have to install and import those modules. So install hyphen module, module, and Azure, right? Get that done, right? To execute this command, hit on this little button which says run script, but make it a habit to use your keyboard. F5 is equivalent to stressing your mouse and putting it over here, hovering it there, and then clicking on it. The F5 is equivalent of that. The other command that you can use is install -module and then say Azure RM. So we got to run both of these. Now why two? Why not one? Well, good question. Azure, when they initially started off several years ago, and I started using Windows Azure in about 2012 when I was creating virtual machines there, they had a pretty nasty console. The console wasn't that great. The look and feel was not that attractive, did not have any aesthetics at all. But today, it's a wonderful looking console, a good looking console out there where we can do a lot of things, including various services that we saw here. But this console is called as Azure Resource Manager, RM. Whereas there is another thing called as Classic Portal, which can still be accessed today by going to manage.windowsazure.com. This is an older portal that existed several years ago. So that was manage.windowsazure.com. That was several years ago, right? But today we're using this one, this console, where we call them as, or we access that with portal.azure.com. Right? These are two different. And a lot of the features, a lot of the service offerings from Microsoft Azure have slowly started to migrate from here to here. So everything that's in Classic Portal will slowly be decommissioned, and you may not be able to see anything here in few years probably. And we will be managing all our resources from one single resource manager console. So when we are importing or installing this module, we're actually getting the commandlets for Azure Classic, whereas this one is for resource manager, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and execute both of them. Well, I can execute one of them as well, but to execute just this line, I just have to put my mouse anywhere here, anywhere in between the sentence in the line number 3, and then click on this one, which is F8, right? So make use of, get a habit of using F5s and F8, yeah? So I'm going to put my mouse here and hit F8 on the keyboard, and then it starts installing my module for Azure Resource Manager. And this is installing the modules for this particular console, right? Okay. Just waiting for this to get completed and see where we can take it off from there. Well, there's a whole bunch of commandlets that it is importing right now. A lot of commandlets that Azure has. Let's just hit yes to this guy. All right, let it do its job. Okay, so I've got Azure RM already installed, right? So for you, it's going to take some time because it's going to download a lot of commandlets from the internet, right? All right, now that I have my module in my console, I can start fiddling around the Azure commands. Now let me take a step back and talk to you about modules. My console or my computer has a lot of modules installed on my computer because I manage Windows, I manage Azure, I manage AWS, I manage BitLocker, and several other applications. I have downloaded and installed various PowerShell modules. Let's take a look at the various modules that I have on my computer. So for that, I'll say get-module and then say show me the list available, and then I'm going to do F8 here, and then it queries my computer, my laptop here, to show all the modules that I have on my computer today. And I'll just toggle the screen because it's going to be a big list and I want to see like this so that I can see a full list instead of scrolling up and down. So I'll have all of those modules listed on my left side. Okay, so what you will see in few minutes is that I have a BitLocker module, I have Active Directory modules, I have Windows specific modules, and then your operating system itself comes with several modules by default. And then the ones that you install, like AWS module, something that I install, then Azure module is something that I've installed. So you should be able to see all the modules right here. So just in case ever when, there you go. Ever when you're running an Azure commandlet and that does not get executed and it says, hey, this commandlet is not available, this is one of the places where you should look at. Okay, Now it says I've got AWS PowerShell module, and I'm going to scroll up. Da, 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 da. Okay, see, look at that. I've got all of these Azure modules, Azure RM for websites, Azure RM for SQL, and all the service offerings that Azure provides. All of these, right? Great. Awesome. So now that I have Azure modules in my console right now in my computer, so I should be up and running to run any Azure module that I may want to. So just to test, I'm going to say get hyphen and type Azure RM, and then you know what? I'll hit tab on the keyboard to toggle around to see if it picks up any commands. Well, yes, see, look at that. It is picking up various commands that Azure accepts. I'm just doing a tab, 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 tab on my computer, right? Great. But while I was tabbing or hitting the tab on my keyboard, I was wondering how many commands I may have, or how many times do I have to hit tab to get a whole list of commands. You know what I'm going to say is get hyphen command and, well, tab, get hyphen command, and say module. Well, I'll say name. What command do you want? I'll say star. Show me all of them, and search it only in module called Azure RM, right? So just that to me, Azure RM, and this is a variable. This is a static value, so I'm going to put that in double quotes and see what I get. So my intention was to look at all the commandlets that are accepted by Azure RM, right? So this guy just should show me all the commands now. And keep counting. Well, it's taking longer than expected. I've got an i5 processor with about 6 gigs of RAM. Oh, there you go. Alright. So here are all the commands that we can use with Azure today, as on today. Azure or AWS or any cloud computing platform is a moving target, right? So as and when there are updates, we will have new commandlets pushed from Microsoft. Alright, so how do I know how many of them do we have? How many of them? So let me put them in a variable here, or put them in a box, and call that all commands. Alright, and then I'll execute that. And you know what I'll do? Um, I'll say dollar all commands and show me the count of it. Right? Just show me the count. How many do I have? Alright, there are about 1700 commandlets that I can run. 1700 Azure commandlets that I can run. That's a lot to manage my entire infrastructure. And these commandlets then have syntaxes. We'll look at that as we progress through this session, right? All right. Now let's try to get some of these information from Azure, right? Now my intention is to pull up the information about the virtual machine. So what I would like to look at is the virtual machine name and everything that I can see as far as a VM is concerned. Well, at times you may know the command, at times you may not know a command, so you don't have to worry about it because Azure or any PowerShell has inbuilt search functionality, and that search can be done with this single command, which is get-command. And this time, instead of searching for a wildcard, right, instead of searching for a wildcard like this, I will search for something that has the term VM, and I only want to search in Azure RM module and not the whole world, right? Now let's execute that, and it got a whole bunch of commands, but much lesser than the previous list. And here are all the commands that you can um, run as far as the term VM is concerned. Right? This is still a lot. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to do I want to get information about VM, I will do a double wildcard search, which is get. If I put that and then I say, I get a shorter list right now. That's much better. It says get hyphen Azure RM VM. That sounds more appropriate. So let me run that and say get hyphen Azure RM VM and execute that and see what we get. Alright, look at that. It says login first. I'm running PowerShell on my local computer, so I need to have certain access to query and hook up to my Azure RM or the portal and then query information. So I have to first log in, right? So I will get rid of this first and then say login hyphen Azure RM, and it also gives you what command I should type, right? Account, and then run it. It gives you a pop-up where you can then type your user ID and password. But you have to hit tab. It will go and search if what you typed is correct or not, and that's when it will let you type in the password. So one step after another step. So now that my Hotmail ID is correct, it lets me type the password now. Give it a minute, and then it should get you authenticated. There you go. So I'm using a Azure Cloud account. It's a free trial account. My subscription ID is that. My tenant ID is that, and that's my account. So yeah, I'm now authenticated. So let me now do get hyphen what Azure RM VM, and then just execute that. Let's see what happens. What we see on the screen. So it should go. Oh, see, look at that. We got some output, and I'm gonna put it like this. Scroll down to the bottom to see what we got. So I got my list here. My report is ready, isn't it? That's great. Here I have an Azure RM VM. I've got a couple of VMs in East US, a couple of them in West Coast, some of them in the Central India, and different regions of Azure. I've got 2 Linux boxes as well, a couple of Windows machines, the network cards, a whole lot of information that you get as far as right from PowerShell, isn't it? But here are certain properties that you can get, which is like resource groups. Oops, let me scroll up. There's resource group, name, location, VM size, OS type, NIC, network interface card. But these are not the only ones that a VM has. There are a lot more attributes than these, or not more properties than this. So let me just pipe it out. A pipe. This is called as a pipe symbol. What pipe means is that the output of this command will then be passed as an input to the subsequent command. So I'll say get hyphen member. Now I should be able to see the properties of it and what are the various properties that I can query this for. Let's see. Okay, so you see these properties, everything is a property, and I'll now put it up like this. So scroll up. Alright, now here are the various properties that I can query as far as a virtual machine is concerned. I can query the status code, request ID, plan, provisioning state, location, right? All of these properties. Now let's try to customize my query, and what I want is to get the information for let's start on the top. It is availability of set reference, the display hint, extensions, ID, instance view. Let's try to get the name, and then I want the location of the VM, and then what else we got? That's it. Okay, I'm gonna also add a type there, and I want just this information. Let's run it to see what we get. See, just got 3 of these information. Just 3, not everything, but just 3. Virtual machine, it's in the East US, just 3. And what if I would like to output it to a text file? You can just say out, or rather say, let me export it to a CSV. So export hyphen CSV, and then give it a name in my D drive. I'm going to say July output.csv and execute that. Awesome, it's right there. So let's do this. I'm going to start that right from here. July output.csv and see what we get. That's it. Our report is ready. Fantastic. All set, good to go. Now you can put your names, location, type, and then go ahead and send this information. Oh, it's already there in the first row, so nothing to worry. You don't have to duplicate the efforts. Just put filters and play around your Excel sheets or Excel skills, right? And similarly, you can do this for all the resources that we have in Azure. Let's say I've got a couple of storage accounts as well. I've made um, tables, queues, blobs, files. There's a whole lot of information that I have in my storage accounts. Let me go to storage. Let me scroll down and say storage accounts. Well, I've got a lot of storage accounts here. Let's pull up that information. Now, what do I do? Well, you know this get command. And because I don't know the storage commands, what I'll do, I can do a wildcard search here for get hyphen get and then wildcard search for storage, and that's it. And I want to search this only in Azure RM module, not everywhere, right? So execute that, hit F8, and then you get a couple of these. You say, what do we want? Get hyphen Azure storage. I'm going to filter it further by doing that. So I get lesser commands now, or just that. Get hyphen Azure RM storage account. That appears to be more appropriate, right? So I'm going to use some of my, okay, some of these skills here. So get hyphen that, and now I'll just execute that right away and see what I get. See, still querying a lot of information. It's not done yet, but since it's not done, I'm going to still scroll up and look at the information. I've got the resource group name, then which location is that available in, what kind of storage is that. So a lot of information, and now you know that you can type it to query exactly what you want. So give me what name, storage account name. Do we have something like that? Well, yes, it's resource group. No, resource group name is different. I want the storage account name. Uh, resource group name. Yeah, there's right there. It is storage account name, comma location, comma. Let's say also give me resource group name, comma. I got the location covered here. What else? So you can pick up any one of these attributes on the left side. These are all attributes on this left side here. These are attributes on the left side. So you can pick up them and then just do a comma separated value for them after you select syntax, right? Um, right. It's a creation time as well. When was it created? Creation creation time. Let me execute that, and before I execute, I'll just output it to a CSV, export hyphen CSV, and then I'll say d colon slash storage info dot CSV. Good to go. Execute that. But now I should be able to do d colon slash storage info dot CSV, and let's see what we got. Okay, we can just delete this garbage. All right. So I've got how many storage accounts? 12 as per this sheet. They are located in the following regions, and security group name, resource group name is these. And when was it created? Following times, right? Wonderful report. All right, so that's how PowerShell is making my life easy. And you do not have any export options here, right? You don't have any export button here. And there are a lot of things that you can do with GUI. GUI is really praiseworthy here. It's very nice. It's much better than what classic portal look like. This is nice, but there are a lot of things that you cannot do with GUI or GUI. A lot of things that you can do and everything that you can do with PowerShell. Pulling reports, creating storage accounts, creating virtual machines, managing Active Directory users in there, creating load balancers and everything. The whole bunch of things that you can do. Everything, A to Z, everything that you can do with GUI can be scripted with PowerShell, or in fact any other programming language that you are aware of. But now it's a Windows class, so that's why we're using PowerShell to demonstrate the abilities of PowerShell or the power of PowerShell, right? So there's one more thing that I'm gonna show you here is if you look at this, I have to scroll to the right and then scroll to the left to look at look at the look at the command. After this, what you can actually do is just hit enter, and then when you execute both of these lines, you know what, you'll get an error message. Let me execute this. You'll get an error message. Duh. See, look at that. Now because it took this as one command and this as line number 19 as a second command. But if you want line number 18 to understand that line number 19 is a continuation to it, you put a small tick mark there. This one, the tick mark um, is a key right next to the one key on the keyboard or right below the escape button. That's a tick mark. So now if I run line number 18 and 19, let's see what happens. You get the same message, yeah? Okay, I'm gonna put a tick mark here and then see. Okay, now what? Well, yeah, the outputs is a problem with these outputs specifically. They do not accept this kind of things, specifically when you are piping it out. That's when the problem is. So we can demonstrate that with this command here. You can say get hyphen command and then say the and then do this. Then it should not have a problem. Right, look at that, it works. So every time you have an output, a pipe like this, there's a problem. So the question here on the screen that I have is reports will be generated through Azure UI 2. Well, no. From Azure UI, all you can do is manage your infrastructure but not generate reports. You cannot do that. At this moment, we do not have that capability. Okay? So I don't see any option where you can generate the reports from here or then take it off to your Excel sheets. Even in AWS, you do not have such a functionality. That can only be done through any scripting platforms that you may definitely have to acquire a skill now. So now you know the importance of a scripting platform, and because it's a Windows platform, PowerShell and Azure have a great interoperability. There's a lot of things that you can do, and I'm going to demonstrate in the future sessions um, about the ARM templates, which are called as Azure Resource Manager templates. How do you build an infrastructure with PowerShell? Integration with JSON or JavaScript object notation. So if you want to create load balancer, create Active Directory, create virtual networks, create subnets, create load balancers, so you have to go to the GUI. Click on add and then follow the wizard and next, 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 which we saw in the previous session. But we don't want to do that. We are living in a world where automation is really respected, so we got to learn that. So in the next session, we'll take a look at how do you build your infrastructure with PowerShell and ARM templates. With that, we end the session for today. If you have any questions, please email me or let me know in the chat.